wildfires in Canada, floods in Pakistan, and snow in Algeria's Sahara Desert. Unusual weather-related events are on the rise. We hear climate scientists discuss these events from the point of view of science. Does religion have anything to offer? To explain more, we are joined by Dr. Muhammad Aslam Parvez. He has been running a popular science and environmental magazine in Urdu for 30 years, as well as working on the interface between the Quran and science. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, Sister Katie.
Thank you for joining us. You might not know this by my name, but I am Kathy Bullock. I'm a convert to Islam, and one of the books that really drew me in the first place was a book by a French person called Maurice Bucaille, The Quran and Science. Yeah. And I know that this book attracts a lot of converts. Can you tell us what you have learned about the relationship between Islam or the Quran and science?
You see, I have been a student of science, and my subject are botany, plant sciences, and environment. In the early stages, I was taught the Quran the way people are taught in my part of the world, but later on I tried to understand the meaning of the Quran. And the moment I did it, I realized that Quran has to say a lot about every sphere of our life, including, of course, the environment and the scientific phenomena. In fact, the Quran tells us that there are two kinds of verses or ayat. One, those which is written in the Quran, and the other in the universe. So all the creations in the universe, Allah calls it as the ayah or the verses. And Quran asks us to comprehend them, both type of verses, with our knowledge and draw our conclusions and then act accordingly. So basically what I discovered as a student of science and studying Quran from a scientific perspective, that Quran gives us the way of life, how to make it successful, and this guidance is meant for entire humanity. It is not meant for Muslims only. This is a book of guidance for the entire humanity, where simply we are told how to lead our life, how to earn money, how to spend, and so on.
Environmental scientists, I know there's this relationship between science and the religion is a huge topic for centuries, and they're always said to be at odds. Like science is based on experimentation and rational thought, and revelation is supposed to be based on, unrational thought or feeling or faith or something. You just mentioned that what you started as a scientist, and then you were looking into the Quran and you saw something different. I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about these two different methods, like the empirical science versus revelation. Like how do you see them linked?
You see, scientific methodology depends primarily on the keen observation, analysis, intellectual analysis, thinking about it, and experimentation wherever it is possible. There are many theories and many things in the science, the concepts for which no experiments have been done. For example, origin of life, I taught for decades, and for the origin of life, we have all hypotheses, because we cannot reenact those conditions when the life originated. And if you see the Quran's emphasis is on the observation, the vision, observation, intellectual analysis of the things, and collecting evidences. The message of the Quran is based on the evidences. It talks about, as I mentioned, the Quran lays emphasis on sama, basra, and fuad. That is what we hear, what we see, and what we think with our thinking mind. So the methodology is exactly the same. The Quran asks us to observe things. It asks us to observe nature, observe the phenomena, and see how things are operating in nature. And what we find today, even with the scientists, that they have realized that the natural way of synthesizing things or doing anything is perfect. What nature does is best, and this is what scientists are imitating, because of our industrial revolution, when we brought in the lot of synthesis of substances, it introduced all of us to pollution. But in nature, see any green plant, it is a huge industry. It synthesizes a lot of chemicals. Main principal thing is the glucose.
But now when we look around at nature and we see things seem to be a bit wild and out of sync, What's the Quran telling us about climate change? I know that in some religious rights circles, they're called what they call climate deniers. So are Muslims also climate change deniers?
You see, one thing I would like to clarify at the beginning, that Quran is not a textbook or an encyclopedia of science on environment or economics or geography. It tells us what to do on this planet. So first thing, and there are guidances in the Quran which tell about it. The first thing which Quran tells us about the resources on this planet and everything which we have, it says that whatever is there on the planet, it is meant for us, for all of us, and the earth was created by God for all the creations. This we find in different verses of the Quran. Role of the man on this planet is defined as that of a vicegerent or custodian or the successor, which is called in Arabic as the Khalifa or the Caliph. So this entire planet belongs to all inhabitants, number one. Secondly, human beings are custodians. They are custodians, they have to take care of the resources. So when you are a vicegerent or custodian or even a successor, then you use the resources in an appropriate way so that they are not wasted, number one. And secondly, you leave it or leave all those things, if not in a better position, then at least the same way you inherit for the next generations.
So there are a lot of Muslims. There are a lot of Muslims who are founding environmental justice groups or trying to raise awareness about how to care for the environment. And you've just said that we're supposed to be a custodian and look after the earth for all creation. What kind of advice do you find in the Quran that would help us fix the problems arising from climate change?
You see, the Quran asks us not to disturb the balance. There is a verse in the chapter 55, وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَزَنَ الْمِيزَانَ أَلَّا تَطْغَوْا فِي الْمِيزَانِ أَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ. That it says that the balance has been established. The example is of the skies, and we see what type of atmospheric balance we have amongst the different gases. The Quran asks us to establish the balance with full justice, neither increase anything nor decrease anything. So there are, at many places, there are such guidances which tell us how to lead our life. One thing I tell you, that I see two problems in the community, the Muslim community, that most of us, they do not understand Quran. Quran is in Arabic, and if I talk of my subcontinent, then hardly anybody understands Arabic. And ritualistically, the Quran is taught in the sense that we just recognize the words and recognize how to read. Say Qul Huwallahu Ahad. What does it mean? We do not know. Most of us do not know. Since we do not know the Quran, we do not know the guidances it contains. So what we practice in the name of Islam, considering ourselves as Muslim, what is passed on to us from generation to generation, and mainly I will call it the ritualistic practices which we all do everywhere around the globe, say 5 times praying, fasting in the month of Ramadan. Islam is thought to be confined to it. Second aspect is that it is not that people do not know what is written in the Quran. In fact, there have been many discussions even on the international platform. The most important and the earliest one was taken up between 1996 to 1998 at the Divinity School of the Harvard University. They conducted a series of ecology and world religions. There was a conference on Islam and ecology in 1998 where I was invited. I delivered a paper there, and there was a compilation, a book on Islam and ecology. It was released subsequently. So way back in 1996 and 1998, it was discussed, and all these things were there and they are on record. In Muslim groups also, for the first time, yes, it was in 2009, when two organizations, one is Earthmates Dialogue from the UK, and the Kuwait, the state of Kuwait's Ministry of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, they conducted a series of meetings in the Kuwait, and the last one in Istanbul, Turkey, where they made this Muslim 7-year action plan on climate change. It was a 7-year program which was supposed to run from 2010 to 17.
And
then into
unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry to do this because what you're saying is really interesting, but we're out of time for the show. But obviously, there's been a lot of work put into this and a lot more work to be done. So we wish you well in your in the work that you're doing, and thank you for joining us today for that short glimpse.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you for watching. If you like what we do, please share, like, and subscribe. And remember, Sound Vision is a not-for-profit organization, and we need your donations to continue to make shows like this. Please scan the QR code or go to our website, muslimnetwork.tv, to donate now. Good night. Salam alaikum.